Good evening. Welcome to the Sunday Pulse. Tonight is April 21st, 2013. And on this day in StarCraft 2 history, Dreamhack Stockholm 2012 was going on where Thorzain defeated Polt in the grand finals and ending in one of the greatest celebrations we had in StarCraft 2. Just being able to witness Dreamhack's production as well as Thorzain winning on homeland soil was absolutely riveting. Of course, capsulated by the great cameo appearance by Swedish House Mafia. I am your host, Dan Cho, joined on the set with two lovely experts. Very, very anxious to talk about today. Ben, Mr. Biernickel, and Kevin Rotterdam van der Kooi. Boys, how you doing tonight?
Wonderful, Dan. Thank you for having us today for the show.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Actually, the moment you talk about Dreamhack last year, I already get goosebumps. That is seriously the best celebration there ever was. That, like, I watch it every now and then when I'm like, should I play ladder games? And then YouTube, Thorzain wins. Yes, I should play ladder.
It was a phenomenal event, but I am going to stab our technical director if he doesn't turn off the music, which is still playing in my ear. Thanks, Elliot, for that.
Normally, I know that would be a joke, but the way that you've been bitter lately, I'm actually worried when he says these things.
No, I'm going to stab him in the throat with this pen. It's going to be an act of violence. He muted my microphone.
Don't scare me, man.
Okay. Well, we can settle that after the show. We have a lot ahead of us, guys. Tonight's show is going to be really cool. We're going to be talking about things like WCS from Europe to Korea to NA. And then we're going to talk about Dreamhack preview a little bit because it will be this weekend. We have trivia, we have player moves, and we have a special appearance from Lauren Elise who made a trip to WonderCon. All this and more on tonight's show. I'm very excited. Now, for those of you who may be watching for the first time in a few weeks and don't know how we're going to be doing the discussion format, we're going to be throwing out a topic, an idea, and then Ben and Kevin will be discussing it. However, we used to do it where I gave out points based off the merit of their articulation or as well as their wit. But tonight, you will be the deciders. Chat will be the ones giving out points. We actually prepared a graphic to explain how this is going to happen. So, every person in chat, doesn't matter if you have 1 or 2 or 3 accounts, as long as you have an account, you have 50 points which you can give away throughout the show. The way to do it is to type into chat !karma, the person's name, which is Ben or Kevin, and then the number of points. You can give away all your points at once. So, for example, based off this intro, if you really enjoyed the death threat made from Mr. Bitter to the production crew, you can give him 30 points for that if you want.
Why stop at 30?
You can give them all 50 points if you want. But then you can't give any more points throughout the show, so use it wisely. Don't spend all your points in one place. But again, you guys will be contributing. And at the very end, they can bet their points for their trivia, the final Fun Fact Frenzy, brought to you by Frodan. Are you guys ready?
I'm pretty ready, Dan.
I'm very ready. I'm born ready. My name's Ben Ready.
I'm excited.
That was clever.
I know I always have trivia to fall back on and own Ben. Even if chat does not love me today, even if you guys are hating on the purple shirt, I still have trivia. So.
Oh, the purple shirt's great, Kev. I like it. I like the little V
Everybody's
action.
giving you points. What is this?
Everyone's already giving points to Kev? This is very nice. This is off to a good start. Well, let's actually get to the debate. Maybe you can earn some points for once, Ben. Our first topic, we're going to go on the wire, the general headlines discussing around the StarCraft 2 universe. The first is the biggest. Blizzard has announced full format details of their $1.6 million World Championship Series season. In a press release, they said, quote, "We redesigned the World Championship Series to help accomplish one of our primary goals, which is to level up the esports scene by building up the type of vibrant professional StarCraft 2 esports ecosystem in North America and Europe that we see in South Korea today." Now, if you guys are still a little confused like we were a couple days ago, here's a little bit of a more detailed explanation. There are 3 regions, America, Europe, and Korea. Within these 3 regions, there's 3 tiers modeled after GSL's Code S and Code A system. To play in the Premier, which is the Code S, you have to qualify through the Challenger League, which is like Code A. And once a player loses in the Premier/Code S, they fall to the Challenger League where they may win their spot back or lose it to an up-and-coming Challenger player. This can be compared to the relegation phases for most football leagues. Now, that was a mouthful, and we're not done yet. For 2013, the Challenger League will feature a grand prize pool of $5,000. The Premier League will fight for $100,000 with the bottom half earning a base salary of $1,500. But wait, there's more. The top players from the 3 regions will compete in the $150,000 season finals. Each region will have 3 seasons. You know, Blizzard seems to be obsessed with the number 3, by the way.
I love the fact that it requires this much explanation. Like, what the hell? This is supposed to be a StarCraft tournament. Like, when you have 50 pages of notes just explaining how to qualify for the damn thing,
I feel like I have to take a college course in order to understand.
I
have
no idea. You've been talking since the top of the show. I didn't hear any of it. Like, it makes zero sense to me.
I'm only about halfway through the read, man.
You guys remember this really funny drawing that someone once made about the new GSL system explained? It's like lots of arrows and then like a new box. Stuff happens. More arrows. TVT final.
like you can take that. You can take that funny graphic, and then you can look at a map of the New York subway system. And one is more simple than the other.
Yeah. I think I can get onto the G train easier than I can find the Challenger League. We'll just wrap it up really quick. It's important to note that the first season is more as a transition, as players in WCS Korea are allowed to change their regions after the first season. However, this only applies to Korea, not EU and NA. And there's one more thing. Blizzard will be unraveling a new point ranking system throughout the year. WCS, along with other events running like Dreamhack, will count for points, and the top 16 with the highest amount of points at the end of the year will be invited to BlizzCon for $250,000 global finals in California. The map pool is as follows: Aklong Waste, Belshear Vestige, Cloud Kingdom, Daybreak, Neoplanet S, Star Station, and Whirlwind. From this tournament, Blizzard hopes that WCS will give a more positive overall experience for players and viewers alike. Now, guys, what do you guys think about this format?
I still have no idea what the hell you just explained to us.
I think it's one of those things that if you look at it, like on a sheet like that, it's very confusing, but once everything starts rolling, I'm sure within 2 months it all makes perfect sense to everybody how to qualify, how to get in. It's just one of those things, the more you read about it, the more confused you get, but once it actually really is up and running, I think it all pretty much speaks for itself.
At the end of the day, what it boils down to is the pre-existing Code S, Code A format, with the exception of if you get knocked out of Code A, you're now screwed and you can't win any money in Korea for the rest of the year.
Well, at least for the rest of the season, until you have to re-qualify through, again, one of the hardest offline lands in the world just to go
Which is getting easier because all of the Koreans are playing in North America and Europe. So there is that.
Yeah, I guess so. But at the same time, you're allowed to declare and change after Season 1. So, I mean, we've already known that for a while. So.
Exactly.
I want to ask, though, I want to repoint the question a little bit away from the format itself, but ask, is this a sustainable ecosystem that Blizzard is trying to establish? Can they allow these rules to keep going on if they want to establish what they're aiming for? I'll start with you, Kev.
No, I definitely think so, Dan. It's quite obvious that Blizzard is not doing this just for as a test run and see how this all goes out. This is something that Blizzard has made, and this is their plan for the upcoming years. Obviously, the start is going to get very bumpy, as we can see now, left and right. Every now and then some drama pops up. But I think eventually this is all going to make sense, and it is going to make the scene a lot more streamlined and a lot more easy to follow. But of course, certainly the first few months and even perhaps the first year, it's going to be very rough.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. This first year is going to be very rough, and we've already seen a lot of that from qualifiers in Europe, North America, and even Korea. Blizzard's catching a little bit of flack, so are some of the organizers, and a lot of it is justifiable. We'll talk about more of that as the show progresses here today. But at the root of it all and at the end of it all, we do still have a very good goal, a very good cause, right? We're all fighting for the same thing, the growth and development of the scene as a whole on a global scale. And Blizzard getting involved in the end is a good thing. There will be hitches along the way. Hopefully there will be some changes made along the way as a result of those. And eventually it will be sustainable if and only if. I have to throw in this final little anecdote. If and only if you don't piss off the community too much. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones playing the game.
Well, this is for the community. This is to build that ecosystem, so I completely agree. But I also want to kind of ask you specifically, Ben, because you've had a chance to visit something like LCS, which is something Riot's putting on for League of Legends. And you even see other organizations, for example, we see Call of Duty trying to have these regional competitions as well. How do you think WCS currently stacks against these other regional competitions that we're seeing for other games?
It's not a regional competition, Dan. So you can't compare it to those. I think I don't have any problem singing Riot's praises. They've done a great job of establishing a North American scene and supporting it, of establishing a European scene and supporting it, of allowing the Korean scene to continue to thrive without interfering too much, and creating a global storyline for us all to follow. We had 130,000 people watching 2 players play on an individual stream in a 1v1 show match for League of Legends the other day because Riot has built up that scene in a way that truly create superstars of those guys that are dominant within their regions. So we're going to have to make a couple of changes in terms of what it means to region lock something, in terms of what regionalized play actually is. But when we get there, when those changes happen, and they will happen, they're going to happen, I think it is going to be for the better in the end.
Man, great points, but I see Kevin's points going up as you're talking, Ben. This is not how the system is supposed to work, guys. Kev, do you have any response?
No, just that I can only imagine how juicy it must be to press that commercial button when you have 130,000 people on your own stream. That's like the most fantastic click. And then you're like, you know what, guys, I love you so much. Let's do a Q&A. And then you answer some questions, and you just keep clicking every 10 minutes. As soon as the cooldown is ready, you're like, yes.
How much is a Twitch commercial worth when you have 130,000 people watching?
Month
like, is it just like hit commercial, make $100? Is that the way it functions at that point?
At this point, for Wicked, I probably would assume so.
So I'm just going to play 30 commercials, guys. Stick around if you want. And then tomorrow he shows up in a new car.
Back to the topic, though. Everything Ben said, of course, makes a lot of sense. And I agree with most of the things he said.
Cool. Any last thoughts we talk about this before we move on to other parts of WCS?
No.
All right, cool. So let's talk about WCS Korea, because a lot of people are focusing on the Koreans, seeing how are they relating to everybody, how are they relating to other scenes. But more importantly, there's been a lot of GSL action that's already happened. At the forefront of WCS talk, GSL, which is technically called WCS Korea, is been going on for quite some time. It's pretty confusing if you ask me, because even the casters themselves, Artosa said on State of the Game, where it is WCS Korea, but for now they're still branding it as GSL Code S, and you should be hyping it because this is the first season of Heart of the Swarm GSL Code S, and yet we have more people watching other tournaments than GSL. GSL's been going on for a couple weeks, 7 of the 8 groups in the round of 32 have been played out. Lots of great series. Maru versus Soulkey, Gumiho versus Rankine versus Shine. Here's some of the results from the first 4 groups. We have Roro and Bomber advancing, Yoda and Flying, SOS and Sue, 2 really good Kespa players, and Tasia and Kongho. Kongho is Losira from LGIM. We can also bring up the other graphic as well. For the other half of the groups, we have Symbol and Shine, which is actually really cool because Symbol and Roro are the first GSL finalists to make it to the round of 16 since Squirtle and MVP. A lot of finalists just get eliminated in the following rounds. Gumiho and Innovation, Parting in Life, hasn't played yet. I don't know why that's actually
Fortune Channel. All right, Pinnacle Esports, here we go. Heard it here first, guys.
Sounds like we have really good odds on that. Flash and Soulkey, of course, that was a really good group. I recommend watching Flash's games as well as Soulkey. That's pretty much the recap of GSL, but I want to ask you guys, how come there hasn't been hype for the GSL? At least I've been feeling this, and if you guys have been following GSL, what have been your favorite games thus far? Kev, you've been following pretty closely. What do you think?
Actually, then even I have to admit that I haven't been following it as close as the previous seasons. And if you ask me why, I actually don't have a logical explanation for this. Perhaps the small lack of Protoss players, because hey, at the end of the day, I do enjoy watching Protoss games a little bit more than the others. But I don't know, as you said, it's the first season of Heart of the Swarm. I should have been super stoked. And I remember how stoked I was for that last season of Wings of Liberty, because we had all these amazing storylines. I just couldn't wait every single day. And even though every time I tune in and I listen to Taste Toasters, I still get a smile on my face. And I have a good time. But it's also not like I'm really clearing out my evenings and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to stay up because I want to watch this. Perhaps it's the fact that I'm enjoying Pro League.
This might have something to do with it.
I don't know. I think perhaps a small lack of storylines for me right now, small lack of Protoss players, and Pro League just being so freaking fun to watch and being able to cheer for EGTL. Maybe I don't have a logical explanation for it then, but I do agree that maybe a little bit less hype. Maybe some of the groups were sort of easy to predict. We have a lot of new faces, and it also made like kind of like, okay, this group, yeah, 4 really good players, but there's no rivalry here, there's no tradition. I don't know, maybe that's why.
Ben, do you have anything to say to that?
You know, I agree with a lot of what Kevin says. I also haven't been that excited for GSL this season, and it doesn't make much sense to me. Tastosis are my favorite duo to listen to in the world. They're hilarious and awesome and always spot on in their commentary. Hit points, Dan. Hit points. And, of course, you can never discount the level of play in the GSL. They're clearly the best players in the world. But for some reason, I have more fun watching the Pro League and listening to S&M and Whiplash There's no logic there. No offense to anybody, but I've had more fun following the Pro League than I have GSL in these initial stages. Now, what I will say is that I'm confident once we get into the round of 16, round of 8, that the hype is definitely going to really start to pick up, because that's when it gets serious. That's when you really start to see the absolute best of the best duking it out in what is essentially the biggest individual star league in Korea right now. But I haven't been feeling the hype. I've been much more jazzed for WCS Europe than I have been for GSL, and even to some extent WCS NA, although I'm quite disappointed to see it so dominated by Koreans.
Yeah, even so, though, there has been good games, and I feel like this is an opportunity.
The games have been great. They have been fantastic. I haven't seen that many of them, but the ones I have watched have been phenomenal. We were just laughing at Roro versus Crazy, which is just muta galore, and it's just like, what is this ridiculousness? But even something like that, as ridiculous as 40 mutas against 41 mutas, is the level there is still something that you cannot dispute. I mean, that's not very fun to watch. But
actually, once the fight happens, it's pretty cool, though.
It's not. It's just like there's a big ball of blue and a big ball of red.
It's better than Phoenix versus Phoenix, though.
Yes,
at least you can do something about.
Because what I really hate about Phoenix against Phoenix is that all these people, they just click all over the place. So you
just like two people just dancing.
You have no idea what's
like
happening, and the players have no idea whether they're winning or not. And of course, you can sort of like stack the Phoenixes as well if you just right-click on the.
I guess it is true. You can put Zerglings underneath your mutas. Yes, that does make it.
Yeah, you asked me about games as well. Then sorry, I completely forgot. Just caught up on a couple of VODs as well. I must say that hold that Rain made against Innovation on the Whirlwind, that was insane. When I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that's how I always die when I don't do Storm. And it's like, what? Like he somehow keeps one Colossus alive, Guardian Shield on the right moment. As you pointed out as well, got a couple of sentries. I thought that was cool. And also Gumiho dropping goals from the
Gumiho? Okay. Yeah, Gumiho's actually legit.
That was pretty cool.
We actually have a clip of that, of Ben's infamous moment. On GSL. Ben, you have 1 minute. Who are you hyping?
Gumiho? I think you mean Gumiho. Yeah, I was wrong about that one.
2-0. I love how he did
the way he played, though. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, speak to it for a sec.
No, also like if he would have like lost first and then 2-1 or something. No, 2-0, and in my opinion, one of the toughest groups. It's pretty sick.
Rain and Innovation, though, were the favorites. Gumiho showing everybody what's up. Definitely be afraid of Gumiho if you're a player in Dreamhack. The last thing we want to talk about related to WCS Korea is that a lot of Korean players are really upset about the prize pool and the format. They've been complaining publicly. They've been complaining incessantly, posting it on Twitter. Thank you to SC2 Tweet Translator, by the way. Do you guys think that these players are overreacting, or is their reaction warranted? Ben, we'll start with you.
That's a tough one, Dan. Is it an overreaction? We know that there is less prize money up for grabs, and we also know that there's more at stake. We also know that by choosing to compete in Korea, they're locking themselves out of some tournaments that are happening elsewhere in the world. But to call it an overreaction, like all of those things all of those complaints I think are very warranted. But we still don't know what's to come in the future. We still don't know what Season 2 of WCS is going to be like. We still don't know where we're going to find ourselves a year from now, 2 years from now. So I don't want to say that it's an overreaction. What I do want to say is that the concerns being voiced are incredibly important, and it is critical that that Blizzard listens, that the organizers listen, and that we do find a way to keep the players happy. This is key. Keep the players happy. Guys, this industry revolves around the players, and for the love of God, I am so sick of seeing casters elevated over players when the players are so much more important, and the games and the personalities and the stories are all there, and no one is telling them. I'll rant more about that later, but that's my answer for now.
Yeah, do you have a response to that?
No. Once more, I have to pretty much agree with Ben. Okay. Overreaction is a really big word. What I can understand is that they are pretty pissed off that the prize pool, which they thought, like they were playing in the tournament they qualified for in Wings of Liberty. So, hey, we're playing GSL. Normally the first place prize was like 40K. And then like when they're already, some people pass the group, suddenly you find out it's 20K. Now, overall, the prize pool is still amazing. And it's not like they took away so much money. Someone actually made a cool graphic about it and kind of put everything in perspective. But yeah, like, sort of changing a prize pool or just not being basically the tournament started and they were not aware yet what is the first place. That's a little bit weird. I mean, come on, guys. We know that how important it really is to announce your prize pool on time.
Of all organizers, we should know. I want to kind of close out this section then with this question. Do you think it's fair then to elevate Korean prize pool higher than other regions because the competition's a lot stiffer?
No, I don't think it's fair to have disproportionate prize pools in different regions. What I do think is important is that you have access to other events and that you have incentive to go places and to show off your skills and to do things. Like these guys. As great as it is that players can compete for, I don't know, $100,000, arbitrary number. As great as it is that I can compete and win $100,000, I cannot rely on winning a tournament as my revenue stream. I have to have some alternative source of income. I have to have something that is going to allow me to sustain myself as a pro gamer. And we see this so much in the landscape in America and in Europe, where you have these pros who pour their lives into it, but they're living on pennies, man. Guys in America with their amazing salary of $500 per month, which does not go very far, even in Belarus, where
no, actually, it does.
Okay, we go.
That's way above average.
Lowly could do a lot with $500
double
a month.
The GDP of Belarus.
But open a new bank tomorrow.
But I think the biggest issue here, when you talk about Korea specifically, is not that they're competing for less prize money. It's that they have so much more to lose now, because already this is a very difficult tournament. Already the qualification is very hard, but also, can we bring up that graphic? I think the graphic of the subway map graphic. You know what I'm talking about?
The format graphic.
The format graphic.
Subway graphic.
So this is kind of important here, guys. In the first round, you got 32 guys. Bottom 16 drop down to the Challenger League. That's essentially Code A. So you've lost in the first round. You're Flash. Well, you're not Flash. We already know he's through. But who's somebody really good? MC. Rain. MC or Rain. Lost in the first round. You get knocked down into Code A, and you run into Hitman.
Oh.
Now you're screwed. Now you're screwed. So you're now in the bottom half of Challenger League. Guess what? You're not competing for money at all. You're now officially cut off from earning any money in WCS because you just hit 2 tough opponents in 2 rounds.
And you're not allowed to go to an IEM.
And you're not allowed to travel to an IEM, and you're not allowed to travel to an MLG. And because of some of the language surrounding WCS, there's less incentive for other organizations to host tournaments. It just makes it harder for these players to earn money. So there are definite issues that need to be addressed moving forward. But still, I'm very confident that 2-3 years from now, WCS will eventually be a very good thing.
Okay. Well, I really like the way you summarized that, Ben. It's talking about more opportunities, not necessarily just raising the stakes for every single win. I do want to remind people that the last group of GSL Round of 32 will be played on April 23rd at 1810 KST. Catch it at gomtv.net, casted by Tastoses as well as Doa and Monte Cristo. Check it out this week, especially with Parting Life, Last, and Lenok. Do you guys have any quick predictions before we close that out?
Time to shine again.
Lee who?
Oh no, man, Lenok is a beast. I don't want to curse him. I feel like I'm starting to Artosis.
Come on, man.
You know what? Here's the thing. I gotta say this. I just gotta say this about Hitman. Hitman lost a couple games last week. It's because Artosis was starting to hop on the bandwagon. All right, Artosis cursed my favorite player. So Dan, when you watch this VOD, I want you to hear this. Son, I am disappointed. Stop cheering for my favorites. All right, I love you, Dan. Don't cheer for Hitman.
All right, Kev. Do you have any predictions before we send this off to commercial?
This is a ridiculous group, Dan. Absolutely ridiculous. I really like Last, actually. I'm quite a fan of his play. Certainly the series he played at MLG, the ones against Live. That was just sick. Those games were so cool. One of the coolest TVZ series I've watched ever since that Paul Stefano series from Lone Star Clash. So I really like Last, but I cannot predict him making it out of this group, man. And then how can you not predict Lenok to make it out of the group? Like, if you would really if you give me a free budget and I can bet, I say Parting and Life, but this group is nuts. It really is nuts.
I'm going to pick Life as definitely a
Life Lenok is my choice.
I'm going to pick Life last.
But it's such a nasty group, man.
Life Parting.
Well, we'll find out next week when we come back, guys, and revisit it. For now, we're done with WCS Korea. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be covering WCS EU from qualifiers to offensive GGs, and maybe even talk about the NASL stream. You're watching the Sunday Polls. Don't go anywhere.